Thank you all for taking the time to listen to my story. I know it's not easy for everyone to share such sensitive and painful experiences, but I hope through my story you can better understand the challenges a small family may face when baseless rumors invade their lives. Life isn't always fair, but we always have the right to hold on to the truth and protect what matters most. If you have experienced or know someone who has gone through a similar situation, don't hesitate to share your story in the comments. We're here to listen, empathize, and support each other through it all. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss more real, emotional, and sometimes controversial stories that I'll share in upcoming videos. See you in the next videos where every story is a voice and every voice is a part of life. Story 1. Sending evidence of abuse to my ex's new pregnant wife. When protecting others means facing your past. Hello, everyone. I'm a woman who has been through a painful and abusive relationship. Today, I want to share my story, hoping it will help someone feel less alone and gain the courage to confront their past. My story began when I was with my ex. What seemed like a normal relationship hid dark shadows I never imagined. He abused me mentally, financially, and even physically. I lived in constant fear during those days. I wasn't foolish enough to endure blindly. Throughout that time, I kept evidence notes, journals, messages, photos, everything that revealed the truth behind his mask. When I finally left, he was arrested for harassment and threatening to use a weapon, sentenced to probation, and banned from owning weapons for life. Later, I started rebuilding my life with my current husband, trying to forget the past. But then I learned my ex married a girl I knew from high school. She was kind, smart, with a bright future. I hoped he had changed and wouldn't hurt her like he did me. Then I found out she was pregnant with his child. My heart shattered. I worried for her safety and the baby's knowing what this man was capable of. I couldn't stay silent or ignore it, not when she might suffer as I had. I decided to gather all the documents. I kept detailed accounts of his abuse and compiled them into a dossier, along with a heartfelt letter offering my support if she wanted to talk. I asked a mutual friend to send the documents to her so he couldn't intercept. About a week later, she messaged me asking to meet. We sat in a cafe. She opened the dossier, turning each page, asking questions, comparing it with what he told her. She was silent after reading, then burst into tears, apologizing for what I had endured. I was surprised she believed me and said she hadn't trusted the story until she saw the court records and victim impact statements. Only then did everything become real and terrifying. I offered her a place to stay or help to escape if needed. But she said she'd stay with him for a while and wasn't ready to confront him with his past. I never regretted my decision. Some said I shouldn't interfere in others' lives, that I didn't know what he was like now. But if someone did the same for me, I would want them to warn me. I still wonder if I was wrong to do this. But deep down, I know I did the right thing. I stood up for myself, for that girl, and for the unborn child, those who might suffer from a dangerous man I once knew. Story 2. Refusing my sister and her kids to move into my new home. When family ties spark conflict. I'm a 32-year-old single woman who just bought my first home. It has 3 bedrooms, a spacious yard, and feels like the perfect sanctuary for me and my 2 beloved dogs. I'm proud of what I've achieved through my own hard work. However, things got complicated when my 34-year-old sister, who has 3 young children and lives in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment, suddenly expressed her desire to move in with me. I knew she was struggling financially and that her living space was tight, but her request went beyond what I could accept. Not only did she want to move in, but she implicitly demanded that I hand over the entire house to her and her kids, while I just wanted to keep my space for myself and my dogs. I offered to help her rent a bigger place by providing financial support, but she flatly refused. She even made a ridiculous offer that I could stay with her and her children in the house and find somewhere else to live. I was stunned by that proposal. How could she think I'd agree to that? I understood her difficult situation, but feeling exploited and pressured to give up my home for others made me furious. I talked to her and our mother many times. My mom sided with my sister, saying I was selfish and should think of family. My sister called me crying and accusing me of being heartless and uncaring. I admit I'm not overly emotional or lenient in matters like this. I take pride in my independence and hard work and don't want to lose my living space or privacy just to please others. But that made me the bad guy in my family's eyes. One day my mom called again, urging me to let my sister and her kids move, in emphasizing that the kids are growing up and need space and that I should do the right thing for family. I firmly said no and defended my rights. The call ended in anger and sadness. After that, my sister boldly called, saying I was wasting money and effort, lacking responsibility towards family. She even suggested I should share the house as a way to keep family peace. But I couldn't accept that. I started feeling exhausted and stressed from family pressure. I felt trapped between blood ties and my personal rights and dignity. I didn't know how to make things peaceful. In reality, I know I'm not wrong here. I've done my best to financially support my sister, which she refused. I tried to be gentle, explaining and proposing alternatives, but all were rejected. The situation got tenser as family members started gossiping and talking behind my back, making the atmosphere heavier. I saw the growing distrust and conflict clearly. What saddened me most is realizing that sometimes family ties aren't a reason to sacrifice everything for others, especially if that sacrifice harms yourself. I realized I have the right to protect my own life and peace in the home I've built. So am I the bad person for refusing my sister and her kids to move in? I don't think so. I only want respect, understanding, and to find the best solution together without too much sacrifice. Life is already stressful enough, so I hope anyone facing a similar situation will bravely protect their personal rights while keeping family bonds with empathy and honest communication. Story 3. Fiancé's bachelorette betrayal. When trust shatters before the wedding. True Reddit stories. I'm a 26-year-old guy, and I've been with my girlfriend Jane for nearly 3 years. We lived together and dreamed of a happy wedding and a bright future. I always trusted Jane, believing she would stand by me through every challenge. But then something happened at her bachelorette party that completely shattered me emotionally and mentally. It all started when the husband of one of Jane's bridesmaids, someone I didn't know, reached out to me with a horrifying truth. Jane had been intimately involved with a stripper at her bachelorette party. He said Jane didn't just flirt but used her hands on the dancer along with some other women, crossing boundaries no one should cross. Hearing that felt like my world crumbled. I thought our relationship was built on trust and respect, but this news tore through my heart like a knife. That night, I was paralyzed, staring at the ceiling, overwhelmed by stormy emotions. I tried to call Jane, hoping it was a misunderstanding or a dumb joke, but she was at her parents' place and didn't answer. My texts went ignored. The next day, I reached out to Jane's cousin, her childhood friend, who attended the party. At first, she was evasive, but eventually confirmed Jane and several other women went to a strip club where private acts with the dancer took place. Jane actively participated despite all being in relationships or married. Her explanation was that it was just a game and harmless fun before the wedding. But to me, it was betrayal, pure and simple. I kept my cool, avoiding yelling or escalating things, knowing that isolation and betrayal often trigger defensive, explosive reactions. Instead, I messaged Jane requesting a serious talk. In that conversation, she admitted everything but accused me of overreacting. She said she still loved me and that it was harmless fun that didn't affect us. I couldn't accept that. To me, love means loyalty, respect, and honoring boundaries. Jane called me old-fashioned and said I couldn't understand open or free relationships in the modern world. I felt alone and disconnected in my own relationship. I questioned love, honesty, and whether I could bear a relationship where we didn't share the same values about respect and personal boundaries. In the end, I decided to break up, not because I stopped loving Jane, but because I couldn't live with betrayal and disrespect. I sent her a message. Love isn't just words, it's actions. I need someone who loves me wholeheartedly, not just with empty promises. I know the pain will linger, but I also know that ending it was the right choice to protect my dignity and emotional safety. I share this story hoping those in similar situations realize never accept betrayal or disrespect. Love must be built on honesty, respect, and faithfulness. When that's gone, letting go is how we find peace again. Story 4. Marriage falling apart. The loss of passion and a shocking bedroom secret. True Reddit stories. I'm a 34-year-old man married to my 29-year-old wife. We've been together for 4 years. At first, everything was wonderful. The love connection and sharing felt perfect. But about a year and a half ago, things started to change for the worse. It wasn't because we argued a lot or had major issues, but because the passionate hugs and fiery affection we once shared gradually disappeared. I'm not talking about intimacy itself. We still had moments of closeness and emotional sharing, but those burning embraces and the feeling of real passion became rare, sometimes happening only once a month. What hurt the most was my wife often refused when I tried to take things further. She never clearly explained why. I tried to talk to understand, but all I got were vague refusals. We sought marriage counseling and even had hormone tests done. Everything was normal. The solutions worked temporarily, but soon we'd return to square one. I grew tired and disheartened. One day my wife told me she thought I was asexual, that I lacked sexual desire. I was speechless. I couldn't imagine that the woman I loved, my life partner, felt that way. I asked her many times to understand better. She said that in our early years she tried and sometimes enjoyed it, but gradually she felt pressured and lost herself in the process. That threw me into a crisis. I loved her deeply and didn't want to force anything. I understood everyone experiences sexuality differently, but I also knew a marriage lacking sexual harmony is fragile. We had long, difficult conversations filled with tears and pain. Eventually, I mentioned divorce, thinking it might be the only way for both of us to find happiness. She strongly opposed it. She said she wanted to keep trying and save the marriage. But I was exhausted. I filed for divorce and gave her the necessary papers. It seemed over until one day I came home and found her in our bedroom with another woman, both naked. I was stunned. She explained the woman was a close friend who had supported her through past struggles and loneliness. She proposed an open relationship solution to save our marriage, allowing me to have relations with her friend so I wouldn't suffer from sexual deprivation. I felt like I was living a nightmare. I couldn't believe someone I trusted would make such an offer. I told her clearly that I couldn't accept it. Since then, I moved out and stayed in a hotel. Her family keeps calling, trying to persuade me to come back, but I just want to escape the mess and emotional chaos. Later, I heard she moved back to her family's home, struggling mentally, almost confined to her room, avoiding communication. Her family asked what I plan to do next, but I have no answers. I still love her, but I know staying together without resolving our issues will only cause more pain. I'm sharing this story not to assign blame, but to express my true feelings, the hurt, disappointment, and complexity of a marriage when the most vital things, sex understanding and loyalty, are threatened. I hope anyone listening realizes that in any relationship, honesty and mutual respect are the most important foundations. And if those no longer exist, sometimes painful but necessary decisions must be made to protect oneself. Story 5. Wife's family and the toxic rumors that shattered my newfound happiness. True Reddit stories. I'm a 32-year-old man, and my wife just gave birth a few months ago. I was filled with joy becoming a father, and welcoming the little angel into our lives felt like a dream come true. I thought everything would be perfect. but life often has other plans. Soon after I returned to work, a troubling event turned our family life upside down. A new colleague, someone I barely knew, started spreading baseless rumors about me and my wife. He told everyone at the company that the baby wasn't mine. Why? Because the baby had fair skin, straight long hair, none of which resembled me. He went so far as to demean me, suggesting I was being cheated on, that my wife must have had an affair with a white or Asian man. At first I couldn't believe it. I knew the baby shared some small features with me, but who would expect such cruel lies from someone so malicious, willing to destroy another's life just for sport? I confronted him directly, asking him to confirm these rumors. He denied everything, calling it a joke with no malicious intent. But others at work confirmed what I had heard, making it impossible to deny this painful reality. The feelings of betrayal, humiliation, and pain piled up inside me. I wasn't just hurt by the colleagues' words, but also by the suspicion and contempt from those around me. This ordeal affected not only me, but also my new little family. I remember those early days when the baby was born. Everyone was congratulatory and joyful. But now I feel more isolated than ever. Things escalated during a company family event when that same malicious colleague brazenly interrupted my group while I was talking with my boss. I couldn't stay silent. I directly asked him if he was the one spreading those vicious rumors. He blushed, fell silent, and couldn't answer. My boss immediately ordered him to come to the office the following Monday for an explanation. Part of me felt justice was being served, but the wound inside still aches. My wife, my colleagues, my loved ones, they could endure this test. But no one could truly understand what it feels like to be a man falsely accused and defamed like I was. I share this story not to blame or seek attention, but so anyone who has ever been wronged or hurt knows they're not alone. I may never forget that day standing face to face with that colleague, my eyes full of anger, yet steadfast, silently saying, "I will not let anyone destroy my family." Thank you all for taking the time to listen to my story. I know that not everyone finds it easy to share such sensitive and painful experiences, but I hope that through this story you can better understand the challenges a small family may face when baseless rumors invade their lives. Life isn't always fair, but we always have the right to stand firm on the truth and protect what is most precious. If you have experienced or know someone who has gone through a similar situation, please don't hesitate to share your story in the comments. We are here to listen, empathize, and support each other. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss other real emotional and sometimes controversial stories that I'll share in upcoming videos. See you in the next videos where every story is a voice and every voice is a part of life.